Welcome to the Pep Talk UK Sports Podcast. You are listening to the pod that offers up sometimes biased but always interesting views on current sports topics. Now, regular listeners will know that each week we rejig our panel of guests to keep things fresh. I am Mike H, your host. Joining me this week are our two resident Gooners, who are undoubtedly gloomy given the events at the Emirates Stadium this past weekend. In no particular order, I'd like to introduce Frankie B in London.
Oi, how you doing, boss? You alright?
I'm great, thank you, Frankie. How are you?
I'm a bit gloomy, you know. Arsenal really let me down.
You are. I guess so. You could say that. Now, thank you for joining us, Frankie. We also have our other resident, Pascal in Paris.
Bonsoir, Michael. Bonsoir, les panélistes. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Bonsoir, Pascal. How are you?
Well, Michael, I had a very pleasant weekend in Amsterdam.
Wow.
So the Arsenal defeat wasn't too difficult for me because I was in a warm embrace of a woman, I don't remember her name. But it was very good. I had a very good time.
Where did you meet her, Pascal?
I'd rather not say. I don't want the listeners to prejudge me, but I enjoyed my very scenic route in Amsterdam at the early evenings, following a very nice cup of tea and coffee and aperitifs in the local cafes. But it's very good for me. €50 well spent.
No, so you didn't watch the Arsenal game?
Well, I was told that Arsenal had lost the game. But as I said, I was very much involved in extracurricular activities, and let's just say that my disappointment was short-lived.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, Pascal. Thank you for joining us again. Now,
merci beaucoup, merci.
And alongside our regulars, I have the pleasure this week in introducing our remaining panelists. This guy is a regular on Arsenal Fan TV. It's Kelechi. Kelechi, good evening.
Good evening, Mike. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. My honor is my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Were you at the Emirates on Sunday?
Yes, I was.
Oh, wow. Watching the game?
Yes, I was.
All right, hold that thought. We'll come back to you on that one. Thank you for joining us again. Now, it wouldn't be right to have a panel comprised solely of Arsenal fans. So this week we thought the best way to balance that out would be to invite a Liverpool fan onto the pod. Ladies and gentlemen, it's MJ back again. Good evening.
Evening, Mike H. MJ back in the building. I've got a massive grin on my face, but I'm sure I'm not going to gloat too much, really. So, I actually feel a little bit saddened by what happened at the Emirates, just as a football supporter. But a massive grin on my face, and looking forward to discussing the finer points of what went down this weekend with all the panelists.
Fine, right. That's our panel. Let's get straight into it. Where better to start but the Arsenal-Liverpool game? Premier League kicked off this weekend. Some interesting results. Arsenal losing 3-4 at home. We'll go to you, MJ. We'll keep the Gooners waiting. What did you make of it?
Sadio Mane, la 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 la. It was quite good. I mean, it was the start of the season. There was probably a little bit more pressure on Liverpool than Arsenal to deliver, because in fairness, it was a bit of an Arsenal reserve team. I just got to say, it was the first game of the season. We started off with 3 points. It wasn't the strongest Arsenal team, to be fair. So, you take it as a win, but you don't take it much more than that. Arsenal will probably still finish above Liverpool come the end of the season. So, we're well aware of that. But it's all about winning the individual battles, the mini-wars. So, I'm glad, as a Liverpool fan, to get 3 points at the Emirates. We've only done it once before in the Premier League era. To do it for the second time, special day.
Let me ask you this. What negatives are there from the result for Liverpool?
The fact we've still got a left back who should be, in the nicest possible way, he should be deported He's been deported and never allowed anywhere close to a football stadium.
I think he needs a new contract.
To be honest, I bet you do. You know, so like, yeah, you know what, if Wenger is looking to actually purchase a left back, I'd happily drive him over to Arsenal. You know, so like, yeah, I'd happily drive him over to the Emirates.
How are you feeling about your defence? Because you beat Barca 3 or 4-0 in a pre-season friendly. You beat Arsenal at the Emirates, but there are question marks still over that back four of yours.
Exactly, because we beat Barcelona 4-0. The next day we lost 4-0. So I mean, it was more of a youth side, but I mean, to be 4-1 up and to have to hold on in the latter end of the game, it's not saying great things. But in fairness, we don't have our first choice goalkeeper, nor do we have our first choice centre back in Mamadou Saka. So you can only beat the team that's ahead of you, and we got 3 points. Happy days.
Happy with the 3 points. Thank you. Now, Kelechi, you were at the game.
Yeah.
Out of interest, where did you sit?
You know, I changed my seat, so I don't even know what area it is. It's kind of towards the corner flank. So I saw to walk on Mrs. Penalty. So I don't know where it's going. But the issue is that I came in from Nigeria a day before, came into this, dropped my bag, headed to London, and then they messed it up. And it was quite frustrating because, you know, we're used to Wenger's excuses, and, you know, just trying to back him and, just trying to see whether we'll get a positive result, and everything just went haywire in the second half. I was really, really disappointed because this is not what I'm paying 1,400 for.
Oh, 1,400?
Yeah, to watch nonsense.
Well, you got goals. You got value for the goals.
No. I mean, if I look at the personnel on the day, I mean, I felt that someone like Oxlade, who has been the best player in pre-season, I know pre-season is a different ball game, should have started that game.
Amen.
I believe that Cazorla should have started the game.
Amen.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not the coach. He sees what he sees in training. I don't know what he sees in training. But the personnel for the night or for the afternoon, I mean, I wasn't happy at all. And then when we started considering, I mean, Chil Walcott is feeling like the oldest player in the squad. I know he is, but that doesn't mean he's the penalty taker for Arsenal.
Well, Kelechi, where did it go? You were our man in the ground. What went wrong for Arsenal on the day?
The young defence weren't given enough protection. They were not given enough protection at all. And when you look at it, Coquelin, for instance, was on a yellow card for a long time. And then the manager did remove him. He removed El Neni. And I was wondering. And to be fair, the referee was just lenient on Coquelin because he should have enough.
Yeah.
He should have enough. So there was no protection. My left back, who has been the best in the league for so long, decided to capitulate that day. And he disappeared. I didn't even see him.
I've got to say, allegedly.
And then, finally, nobody's even saying anything about the goalkeeper, the world-class goalkeeper that we have. Nobody's blaming for even one goal.
Oh, okay. Well, check.
Okay. Thank you, Kelechi. Thank you for that. Yeah, he did. Let's see what Frankie is. Frankie, I have a question for you. If Arsenal are top 4 hopefuls, if they are possibly title contenders, or they want to be, should players like El Neni, Walcott, Ramsey, should they be starting for a team like Arsenal?
I think the players you described are very good players in their own right. However,
squad players or they're starters for a top team?
I think they're squad players with the potential to grow. However, we do need some new blood that can come straight into the starting 11. I'm talking about, a striker that can score 25 goals. I'm talking about a wingman that can contribute some goals from the wing. I'm talking about a solid centre-back. Yeah, I'm talking about a centre-back that doesn't get done for pace like Mertesacker. Like most Goonies would admit that. So we need to invest in the transfer market.
Thank you, Frankie. Pascal, let's come to you.
Oui.
Some Arsenal fans are saying that, the best is yet to come. Giroud is going to be on his way back. Are you confident that fortunes will turn around when Giroud's back on the side?
Michael, you've heard me refer to my fellow countryman as the giraffe because he's very tall like a giraffe and he runs as quickly as a giraffe. So I've nicknamed him the giraffe, but I'm not particularly confident that Giroud will change the plight of Arsenal. It's very simple. For the last few seasons, Arsenal have not really prepared very well for the first game of the season. If you recall, last year we lost to West Ham at the Emirates Stadium, and it seems to us, for Arsenal fans, that Arsene Wenger fails to prepare and fails to ready his team for a season upon which we can expect better results. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. All the top 4 teams, or the teams that are willing to battle for this title, this season has started quite well. Chelsea beat West Ham. Manchester United also, proved themselves to be ready for this title fight. And it's important for Arsenal to set the tone, particularly against a team like Liverpool. They're always going to be a very difficult game. Last season, I came to England and I watched the game. Frankie Bay and I met and we watched the game, and we were both very disappointed because, we felt that Liverpool then showed signs of improvement. And unfortunately, if you recall from last week's podcast, I did say that Liverpool were going to beat Arsenal because I didn't have the faith in the team and the preparation and certainly the signings. Therefore, you can bring Giroud back. Of course, you bring an additional experience in the team, but not necessarily the kind of a game-changing player that we require.
There's still 2 weeks left of the transfer window. Let me go to Kelechi. Kelechi, Arsenal's next game is away on Saturday at 5:30 p.m. against Leicester City. In my view, both of those teams got beaten on the weekend. Both of those teams desperately need a win. Who's going to take it?
I mean, if you start holding on Chambers, Leicester will definitely win. Definitely, hands down.
Well, who else does start?
No, I mean you can have another makeshift defense. What's his name now? My backup right back is physically strong enough. Debuchy, he's strong enough. He played there against Liverpool. Was it last season or 2 seasons ago?
He did
and
very
scored.
well.
Yeah, and did very well. Morea has played there as well, so he can bring in the experience. With the experience, they can play that game, and then we'll stand a chance. But if you start those 2 youngsters, not a chance. I mean, I saw Ranieri in the stadium last weekend. On Sunday was there. I'm sure he must have studied everything. So he just need to surprise him and just change the personality a little bit.
Okay, now gentlemen, if I can have in one word from each of you, if you had to put money on it right now, do Arsenal finish in the top 4? MJ?
Yes.
Kelechi?
Yes.
Frankie?
No.
Pascal?
Oui.
This podcast is being recorded and we're going to see in 9 months' time who was right and who was wrong. That's very interesting because there is a long way to go. But I think Arsenal are going to be in the fight. I don't think it's going to be easy this season.
Yep.
Stating the obvious.
I'm sorry, just a question for Kelechi. What did you make of Xhaka, the new expensive signing? You said the issue was the fact that there wasn't enough protection for the young boys. Were you a bit surprised Wenger didn't actually start Xhaka? And when he came on, what did you make? He kind of looked a little bit out of place when he came on. Just interested to
you're correct. He looked out of place a little bit, but I mean, for somebody that's coming to the Premier League, you need to sit down and study it. Don't just start like that. He's not a special talent. So he was just okay. He was diving into tackles. He was doing some great. Yeah, but still, I still feel that he's a bit of a Charlie Adam type. So I'm still studying him. I've not really watched him in great details, to be honest, but he was just there. It was nothing too special.
Thank you for that, gentlemen. Now let's move on, because there were other games this weekend. We'll stick with the big ones. Pep Guardiola had his first competitive match as Man City manager. His side just about beat Sunderland 2-1 with the thanks to an own goal by Patrick Mané. Joe Hart didn't start the game. He didn't start him against Steaua Bucharest. Frankie B, what do we read into that?
Joe Hart's on the way to the airport, mate, as MJ would say. Look, as far as Guardiola is concerned, he's watched Joe Hart and his form wasn't particularly good last season. So I think Guardiola wants to play informed players, as you should do.
Pascal, did you watch the Man City Sunderland game?
Mikael, in all honesty, I didn't watch the game, but I did catch some highlights. And Sunderland are now being managed by David Moyes, if I recall correctly, and he's a very decent manager. I think it's good for the Premiership for him to return. And Pep Guardiola, I believe will struggle this season as Manchester City manager. I do not think it'll be easier for him in the league. I can see him doing really well in the Champions League. He has a very good Champions League experience, but he's still very much a green manager when it comes to the British game. And the fact that he's dropped Joe Hart, to me, just tells me that he doesn't have confidence in him. When a manager makes such a decision, it shows his willingness to be bold, his willingness to make tough decisions. And Joe Hart will have to prove to himself and to Pep Guardiola that he's still the number one keeper, not just in Manchester, but in the country. Because Pep Guardiola doesn't necessarily look at, the best player in his team. He's looking at the best player he can bring to the league that he's managing. Therefore, I expect Manchester City to be on the lookout for another goalkeeper. There are rumors that Pep Guardiola is looking at Spain, interested in the Barcelona goalkeeper, for instance. I don't think Barcelona will sell him, but I think for Joe Hart, particularly for the England team, it is important for him to play week out. And he may well need to maybe request a loan move away from the Etihad Stadium or fight for his number one space. We'll have to see.
Yeah, and MJ, what realistically what is minimum expectation for Guardiola's Man City, given that they've spent so much money this season?
The title, nothing else. Absolutely.
Really?
Nothing else. I actually saw the game. It was absolutely fascinating. I think Manchester City and Guardiola gave us more talking points than at any other point. We've seen Guardiola move to Barcelona and actually say, Ronaldinho, big personality, we don't want you, get out. Deco, you leave. He's done this before. He's been to Germany, he's been to Bastian Schweinsteiger, he's been, get out. And he's come over to England, clearly doesn't fancy Joe Hart, and apparently Manchester City will actually sign the Barcelona goalkeeper. So it's already been agreed for
that. This is his first season, right?
Yeah.
If he fails to win the title, has he failed this season?
Absolutely.
Really? There's so much competition?
Listen, it doesn't matter. If you're Manchester City, you sign Pep Guardiola to win the league. Manchester City ahead of United will probably looking as if it might be the closest challenges this season. I mean, the transfer market isn't closed. We can't actually judge. But Guardiola, off the back of his somewhat successful time over in Germany, I don't know. Some people say it was successful. Some people say it was average. You win league titles and league cups, but you don't win the Champions League. If he comes to England, he has to make a statement. He's got an open checkbook, can attract everyone. He has to win the title. He has to deliver. Okay,
all right. Thank you for those comments, gentlemen. Let's turn to the other side in Manchester, Man United. Mourinho's spent a few bob this summer. He's got, who is, in my opinion, technically, with his feet, the best striker on the planet in Zlatan. He scored on his debut, and he scored at the Community Shield. He scored the winner there. He scored the winner against Bournemouth in a 3-1 victory. Kelechi, what do we think of Man United under Mourinho and their chances?
They're looking like serious contenders. I just like the way Mourinho is using Mata. We all thought that he was going to sell him one hand, but he hasn't sold him and he's starting. So that's a different type of Mourinho there. So, yes, I mean, they have a shot, they have a chance. We can never rule them out. With Zlatan there, he's a different human being. So, yeah, I'm a bit scared, to be honest.
You're scared?
Yes.
You're expecting United to finish above Arsenal?
Yes, that's a realistic possibility.
Yeah. What about Rooney playing as a midfielder? Has that one got legs?
Yeah, I mean, he can. I believe he can play very well there under Mourinho's tutorship. But again, I think he's slightly overweight, so I don't think he looks that fit, to be honest. But it's Rooney. I mean, he can spark into life at any time. So I never really any player out. They're all good. Yeah.
Pascal,
Oui.
should Rooney be starting for United?
When Rooney, when Rooney and I, we've got very much in common. We both enjoy prostitutes and ladies of the night. And when Rooney, from my point of view, I do not believe that when Rooney should be starting for Manchester United. Not at £300,000 a week. I think they are better players than when Rooney. And it'll be interesting to see whether Mourinho has got the kaunas to essentially drop when Rooney, because in actual fact, I think when Rooney is only playing for Manchester United for marketing purposes, Manchester United are very well run as a club globally. When Rooney brings a lot of attention to the club because of his past experience and his accolades with Manchester United. But let's be brutally honest, he had an average Euro for Manchester United. He's been dropped as a number 10, played in the midfield. And I think that as the striker that we once knew, those days are very, very much into the horizon. And when Rooney will remain in Manchester United, he will probably end his career in Manchester, may well go to China for a big checkbook, or maybe even to America. But I do not believe that when Rooney has the world-class ability that he once possessed. But as my friend Kelechi said, there's no opportunities for him to score goals. He did score a goal at the weekend, a relatively easy header. But I do not believe that when Rooney could sustain that level of intensity throughout the season, and it will be good to see whether Mourinho has got the willpower to substitute or to bench when Rooney when necessary.
Pascal, out of interest on a slightly different topic, what's the French word for kahunas?
For kahunas,
yeah.
Les couilles.
You got that, Frank? You got it, Frankie?
Les couilles.
Les couilles. Absolutely. It means the bollocks.
Today. Okay.
It means the bollocks.
3 different languages. One more time for me?
Les couilles.
Okay, merci beaucoup.
Bravo,
now,
merci.
gentlemen, Arsenal are 3 points behind the league leaders, right? Now, United will host Southampton on Friday evening, the first Premier League, I believe it's the first Premier League game to be hosted on a Friday night. So United will host Southampton then. Arsenal could find themselves on Saturday evening 6 points behind the league leaders. Is that a cause for concern? Frankie B, why?
Well, the team's not prepared. We're playing catch up already. Like on match day 2, I can't believe it. Even if we do sign players, the players still have to integrate into the system. So with the injuries, lack of signings, the manager, we don't even know what he's doing. It looks pretty bleak at the moment. I think it's going to be a difficult season. I'm not happy about it, but what can I do? The old man's quite stubborn.
So with Arsenal fans, it seemed, you could argue, for a long time were quite happy, you might even say smug, that any Arsenal fan would tell you, we've had 14 years in the Champions League. Do you think that perhaps masks the problems behind the club, and that maybe the best thing for Arsenal Football Club going forward, medium to long term, is for Arsenal to have a terrible season this year? Do you take my point?
You be singing, "It's happening again, it's happening again."
That's what Tottenham.
Kelechi, let me ask you this, Kelechi. I mean, how bad does it have to get at Arsenal for you to give back your £1,400 season ticket?
I don't think I would do that. You just like you love your child, or you love your brother, or your mother. I love them so much. So we may rant, but after a while we just forgive. But your question now, you're asking how bad does it need to get? Well, if we don't qualify for the Champions League.
Yeah.
This is the old man's last year.
Yeah.
And I just have that belief that he'll walk. I'm not sure. But if it doesn't go well, he will definitely walk. But again, as a human being, even you, Mike, I'm sure in anything you do, you want to live on a high. So yeah. I'm sure he really wants to live, if he's going to live, wants to live on a high.
But what is a good season realistically for Arsenal? To interrupt you, what is a good season for Arsenal? Because I see that squad and I can't see Arsenal winning the league. I just can't see it.
No, did you see Leicester winning the league last season? No. Exactly.
But I'm looking at the Arsenal squad. I'm seeing the transfer window hasn't closed yet, but I know that Arsenal have, at best, up front, they've got a striker who'll get you between 10 and 15 league goals. Giroud. He's good at Giroud will finish off 3/4 of the teams in the Premier League, but he won't do it against the big boys. You've got, and your starting centre back from last season is out till Christmas. Koscielny's not playing. The other chap, Paulista, he's not playing. Gabriel, sorry. I can't see that team. I've looked at the squads in the Premier League. I cannot see how the Arsenal squad is going to win the league. And I know this is being recorded, and I know I might be made to eat my words, but I'm giving my opinion. I cannot see how Arsenal are going to win the league.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, but they can spring a surprise. I mean, you've mentioned the names of the players that are missing, but hopefully next weekend they are going to come back. But what you tend to forget is that somebody like Chambers, in as much as we are slating him now,
he's a good player.
He's a good player, yeah. When he came in initially, the only problem I had with the makeshift defense was just two inexperienced players. If you get a Koscielny there with one of them, I'm sure they'll be okay. I'm sure they'll be. That Chambers boy went to Besiktas with, who did he even go? Was it with Mertesacker? And played very well. So I'm sure he's going to fine tune just the initial, first game. Let's just get it out of the way. Let's not read much meaning into it. I'm backing the boys, seriously. I'm backing.
All right, let me put it another way, and I'll come to MJ on this one. Man United's first team boasts up front Rashford, Rooney, if we call him a striker, Zlatan, Martial, and Lingard. Yeah, it's 5 first teamers. All right, City have got Boney, Aguero, Iheanacho, and Arsenal have got who? Can Arsenal compete for the title when their competitors can boast so much talent up front, and Arsenal are come into the party with Giroud and an injured Welbeck? It's a question. I'm not taking the mickey. It's a question. Can Arsenal push for this title with that strike force?
I mean, you're forgetting the likes of Alexis Sanchez and the rest. If you mentioned like 5 of the Man United players, but you also forget that one is a long season, is a marathon, number 1, and then number 2. Yeah, definitely, some of them will get injured. Definitely, Zlatan is about 35, so 34 or 34, so they'll have to manage him. If not, he's going to get injured, and it might disrupt the flow of the team. So anything can just happen. Your workout could just pick up some useless form and be scoring. In as much as I don't expect him to. But anything can just happen. So let's just keep our fingers crossed. We play an expansive game where anybody can score, where some people rely solely on strikers.
Kelechi, you keep your fingers and toes crossed. I'm not doing anything cross for Arsenal, I'm afraid, mate. Now look, let's turn. This isn't an Arsenal pod. I hear that Arsenal is very close to a lot of your hearts, but let's turn to the Premier League champions. Leicester lost 2-1 away to favourites for relegation. They got 13 fit senior players and they got no permanent manager. How did that happen?
They're unlucky. Sorry.
Sorry, Kelechi's gone for them being unlucky. MJ, did you catch the game?
Yeah, I did catch the game. It was absolutely fascinating. So, after the fairy tale of what happened last season with Leicester, we were expecting new bright things. They've lost their main man, N'Golo Kante, but they managed to actually sign Musa and a few other quality players to replace him. I mean, I do have to agree with Kelechi. They were a bit unlucky. Jamie Vardy had 3 or 4 chances, which typically you would expect him to put away. It's the first game of the season. Very, very difficult to judge. We can't judge a season by game 1. So, on the basis of that, I'll just say Leicester probably not going to win the league again, but they will probably have a decent season. And a lot of the big boys who play Leicester, like Arsenal this weekend, will probably find that it's quite tough to actually get 3 points.
But Frankie B, what is a good season for Leicester?
I think if Leicester can finish in the top 6, I think they'll be happy with that.
Okay, Pascal, what do you think Leicester fans should be preparing themselves for this season? We know they have Champions League for the first time in their history. What should they hope for?
Well, I think the fairy tale for the Leicester fans, will pretty much carry on. For them, they have achieved very much, the unachievable. Therefore, I don't expect the average Leicester fans to demand as much as the Arsenal fan would demand from Wenger, for instance. I think that Ranieri has already delivered something very magical for the people of Leicester, for the city of Leicester. And I would not be surprised if a statue will be commemorated in his honor. But what's interesting is that, Ranieri has acquired some very good player in Musa, of the Russian side, Lokomotiv Moscow, I believe. But the loss of Kante for me was a talisman loss, and we will see throughout this season that Kante was actually worth much more than 32 million. And in my opinion, probably worth around the 40 million pound mark if Pogba goes to United for 98 million. Kante has proven that he's a world-class midfielder by winning the league with a mediocre team, which is Leicester. Let's be very honest, and I think that Chelsea have got him at a very good bargain. But I just expect Leicester will probably finish in the middle of the table, because the Champions League schedule is very grueling. All these away games, very difficult preparation, mental preparation. A lot of these players will have never played in the Champions League before. The requirement of Champions League football is much more demanding, and I do believe that Leicester will suffer domestically as well as internationally. Therefore, I expect Leicester to finish outside the top four, but Ranieri will remain very upbeat and very happy with the fact that Leicester have been able to achieve such a very, very high commendable achievement.
Yeah, interesting. It remains to be seen. Gentlemen, Chelsea have a new manager, Antonio Conte, as you well know. They strode to a 2-1 victory over West Ham at Stamford Bridge on Monday evening. They're also top on points of the Premier League. Kelechi, Chelsea have an aging defence. It's a defence that last season people were saying has lost its legs, apart from Aspilicueta. What do we expect this season from Antonio Conte's Chelsea?
I expect a lot of things from them, to be honest. Last season, I think the players didn't just want to play for Jose Mourinho, and they conspired to sack him. It's not as if they are not good enough. They are very good. They just conspired to sack him because they are loyal to Canero. So that's what happened. So, I mean, they have a good squad. I watched the game. They were okay, to be honest, although they labored to win. But the charismatic nature of Conte and the whole buzz and ginger he brings to the team, I mean, they're forced to reckon with. You should watch out for them as well.
Okay, MJ, did you watch the game on Monday?
I actually did watch the game live. Actually, I was actually at Stamford Bridge. My brother is a season ticket holder, so we're over at the Matthew Harding stand over at the bridge.
Sorry,
it was an absolutely fascinating game.
MJ, you seem to be watching all the games. Don't you have a job to do? Don't you have a job? Or, I mean, I'm very concerned. How old are you?
To be honest, I think if you spoke to someone who knows me, I think you would know that my job is it's a bit of, you've got to have the work-life balance. Work hard, play hard.
Oh.
So that's exactly what it was. But no, because my brother's a Chelsea supporter, I went along with him to go watch the game live over at the bridge at the Matthew Howden stand, and it was absolutely fascinating. Diego Costa, who we all thought was going to leave, did a Diego Costa. He started the game, worked hard, got on a few scraps, and scored the winner. I think that just sums Chelsea up and Diego Costa in a nutshell. So we're expecting big things from Chelsea this year, and let's see if they deliver.
I think Chelsea might sneak it. I've got a feeling. I think Chelsea are going to just. They're going to love the one game a week. I think they're going to sneak points 1-0 like George Graham's old Arsenal.
And they're going to spend. They've got 150 million apparently still left to spend this week. They had still left to spend before the end of the window. They had 62 million allegedly rejected for the Real Madrid striker, who they actually signed, Morata. They're trying to sign Koulibaly. So they're bidding in excess of 45 million for Koulibaly. So they're going to spend big. There's still going to be some big signings. Chelsea are looking good.
I thought it was a well-taken goal by Costa. It looked like Hazard has actually turned up this season and was on fire. A question I have is this new Premier League rule that's very much overdue, but the rule that says if the referee is speaking with one player, the second player to go over him will be cautioned immediately. is Costa going to have difficulties sticking to that rule? Pascal, is he going to have trouble with it? Is Costa going to get sent off too much?
Well, Diego Costa is a very fiery individual. I think it's probably his Brazilian roots who tend to get the better of him, and I expect Diego Costa to remain the same and to see a few red cards this season. I don't even believe that Diego Costa is even understand the English very well. I don't believe he takes his English lessons very particularly, with much interest. Therefore, I expect him to be just as aggressive, just as nonchalant in his approach to the game. But when he decides to play, he's a redoubtable footballer. Very good athlete, very strong. He can finish very well. But his disciplinary record, will remain questionable until he remains at Chelsea. And I do believe that to some extent he enjoys that role. He enjoys that character of being a villain. Of being the guy who doesn't seem to care. That seems to go with him very well. And Chelsea are still very much in the market of Icardi. I read as well in L'Equipe this morning. Icardi is very much on the radar for Chelsea, and I expect Conte to maybe look for some reinforcement from Italy. So it's possible that Icardi will join if Morata's not coming.
Okay, gents, let's turn to... I know we've got a panel of 3 Arsenal fans, but try to be impartial if you can. Let's turn to Tottenham. Tottenham have strengthened with Wanyama and Janssen. Their young squad is a year older. They have Champions League football this season, so they've got at least an extra 6 games to play. Kelechi, what are you expecting from Spurs this season?
Well, I hope they lose. I'll be the first to sing a song when they lose. I'll be so happy when they get relegated. I'm not expecting anything from them, but to be honest, I know they have a good squad, but they're going to miss their goalkeeper for a month. And that's very crucial.
But Michel Vormis is a very good keeper.
I don't really rate him. I used to rate him when he was in Swansea.
Well, now as a Spurs player, you don't rate him.
I don't
How does that work? All right, let's move. Thank you, Kelechi. Let's move to MJ. He's a scouser. Top 4 for Spurs this season, or a little bit too far?
Absolutely. I reckon Spurs will be challenging for the title. Because
really?
The reason why I actually say so is because they've got a striker who will score you 25 goals and up.
But can't take corners.
No, well, exactly.
That's fine. I'll take that. I'll take Frankie B. I'll take that. I'll take Harry Kane's 25 goals.
Janssen. So what Spurs have actually done, they've added goals to their team, and even though they kind of missed out on the best defence last season, it was just due to a collapse at the end. They've got a very solid defence, they've added Wanyama, a specialist defensive midfielder. So they've added goals as well as actually improved their defence. I think if that's not an improvement on what they did last season, I can't tell. I reckon they will definitely be challenging for the title this season.
That is confident. Pascal, what do you see Tottenham doing this season?
I hate to agree with a man from Liverpool because I find people in Liverpool very dodgy, but I think MJ is very correct. I'm very impressed with the approach of Pochettino, and he's a student of the game. He's a young manager, and he understands that the time is not on his side, and he wants to make an impact at White Hart Lane, and he has reinforced the striking position very well. It means that Harry Kane now has some competition in Janssen. Janssen is a proven goal scorer in the Eredivisie, and the Dutch are very good at producing strikers, so I've got no doubt that he will adapt very well to the British game. Eriksen was once a player in Holland, and look how well he's adapted to the Premiership. Therefore, I expect Janssen, to make an impact. Lamela is also very comfortable now at Tottenham. He enjoys his role now. He wants to stay, and Tottenham is interestingly become a team that people want to join now. They believe in the team. They believe in the project. The new stadium will also attract even more players. It's a big concern for other London teams now. That is now another team in London that can attract top players. And I agree that Tottenham looked at the mistakes they did last season. They realized that towards the end, Harry Kane was becoming tired because they play a very high intensive football, very high intensive game, and Pochettino realizes that, and he's brought in, the reinforcement when it was necessary, and to protect the back four, he's got a very strong African player, in Wanyama. Wanyama, I'm sure he eats a lot of pounded yam and fufu because he's very big. And if you're on that diet, Michael, if you understand the West African diet, it's very powerful, lots of carbohydrates. And I can see Wanyama doing very well. And I'm surprised that, Wenger, hasn't had the same approach. Don't be surprised if Tottenham beat Arsenal home and away this season, I can see it happening.
Be. Pascal, do you get many Scousers in Paris?
In Paris, we see one or two, but we deport them because we have very, very bad reputation.
It's okay. We don't have too many Frenchmen in Anfield Road, mate. So
we have enough. But may I remind you, MJ, you had Gérard Houllier, very much a Frenchman who's in charge of your club who brought you some good success. So please. And Djibril Cissé also was a very good player for you, so please give me some respect.
Thank you, gents. Kelechi, you're the new guy to the show. I would like to ask you, if I may, I've realised that it's early doors, but I'd like to ask you right now, based on what you've seen, based on what you've known, based on your experience of Premier League football, who's your top four?
That's a difficult question.
That's why it's for you, man.
In no particular order, though.
Yeah.
So it's Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, and I hate to say Tottenham.
Really? What, ahead of United?
Yes, definitely,
okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Kelechi?
Because there are too many egos in that United dressing room. I'm expecting them to erupt very soon. So.
Interesting. That's very interesting. And I will remember where I heard that first. Kelechi, can we have you back on the show in the future to see how that prediction pans out, please?
No problem.
Wonderful, thank you. Now, gents, I'd like to look at the other end of the Premier League. Again, it's early doors, but 3 teams will be relegated this season. Kelechi, we might as well stick with you. You got any vibes for who might get relegated this season?
Burnley, Hull, with the whole uncertainty of Hull Tigers, Hull this. I don't know the third team, but these two surely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Frankie B, who you feeling might be sweating at the wrong end of the league come May?
You know what? This might be a surprise saying this, but I've got a feeling that Palace might be down there this year. They've sold Jedinak, and that boy Balassi has just gone to Everton without any real replacements as such.
Benteke is on the way.
Possibly on the way. If you remember last season, Palace was struggling for quite a while and they were quite lucky to avoid relegation. This season, it might be a bit tough for them, bearing in mind the lack of signings.
Pascal, would you go along with that?
With the relegation battle?
Yeah.
You know what? I think that Swansea will also struggle. They sold Ayew, but they also sold
Gomez
is also gone, and those two were very, very prolific strikers for Swansea. So I expect Swansea to go down. I will also put in the mix. I said Burnley already, didn't I? And also perhaps more of a high-profile Premiership club. Last year Newcastle and Aston Villa lost and went down in part of the relegation battle. Perhaps it's possible that Leicester could be part of that relegation battle.
Really?
We never know. I think perhaps yes.
Your co-panelists find that funny, Pascal.
Well, I'm a bit of a comedian, Michael, but I think that it could be a very interesting turn of events for Leicester. The Champions League schedule is very difficult, very, very difficult. And even with the experience of Ranieri, the players have never encountered that schedule before, and I think they'll struggle.
I wonder whether Leicester might actually qualify from their group, because they're seeded in pot 1. You could say fortunately, not fortunately because they won the league, they avoid all of the big guns. And if all they have to do to qualify is finish in the top 2 of their group, I think it might be doable.
Yes, it is.
We'll have to see.
But then again, that means they got more games to worry about. So, Pascal, I hear what you're saying. We'll see what happens with them. Now, gentlemen, thank you very much for your insightful comments on the football. I'd like to turn to the boxing, please. There is some very big boxing news. I bet Pascal knows about it. The big fight news of the week is that James Degale, the IBF super middleweight champion, has agreed to fight Badou Jack, the WBC title holder, in a world title unification fight in Jack's hometown of Las Vegas. Now, Degale hasn't fought since he defended his belt in a points win over Rogelio Medina in March of this year. We're expecting this unification fight to be staged either in October or November. I recall Degale giving a BBC news interview sometime this year, in which he's explained that he's worked hard in his career, he's put in the slog, it's time for him to make his money. Now, my initial thought when I heard that this fight was going to be in Las Vegas is that means payday. Pascal, would you agree?
Well, James Degale, he is a very good boxer. I've always enjoyed watching his style of boxing, very entertaining, very good movement with his feet, very good hand speed, a bit nonchalant sometimes in his style, he tends to drop his hands quite a lot, but, he's a very good athlete, and at the end of the day, James Degale is, over 30 now and he's looking at getting paid. He's not the most attractive of characters to essentially promote. He's had a very difficult rise to the top, as they say. His first fight against George Groves was sparked with controversy, and he didn't manage to beat Groves. But in the end, he became quite successful in his own right. And I think it is time for James Degale now to start earning a bit of money to look for his retirement fund. But the interesting thing is Badou Jack. He's very good boxer. Coming out of Sweden, fighting in the TMT, the Money Team Boxing Gym in Las Vegas. He's a very good athlete. He defeated Lucien Boutet in decent fashion, even though that the fight was given a draw. It was later found that Lucien Boutet was actually on the illegal substances, so that could have explained why the fight results were so close. But I expect Badou Jack to become the unified champion, if I'm honest with you. Badou Jack is... Yes, I do. I like Badou Jack. Wow. I think Badou Jack is a good fighter.
Frankie B, do you think that? Sorry to interrupt you there, Pascal. I just wanted to ask. Well, both of you, really, all of you. How much of a swing will fighting in Las Vegas have for Badou Jack?
None.
No.
None. James Degale has got no problem going away. He's proven in the past. He won his belt away. He's got no problems going away. James Degale is an Olympic champion. Let's remember that first and foremost. Badou Jack, he's looked slightly good in recent times, but let's be honest, everyone was shocked when he beat Andre Durrell. To be honest, I reckon Badou Jack has overachieved, and I reckon Degale actually takes him and actually shows how good he is. The only person who actually can beat Degale or has beaten Degale is George Groves. He beat him when they were amateurs. He got under his skin and beat him again when they were both professionals. But to be honest, James Degale is ranked number 1 fighter at super middleweight, and he's ranked number 1 for a reason. Though Badou Jack is ranked number 2, I think James Degale is ahead of him. He's ahead of the curve.
Pascal, are you having that?
I disagree. I think Badou Jack, is a hard-working boxer, and Badou Jack has proven that he was able to win WBC middleweight belt, which is, let's face it, the most prestigious belt out of the current, title holders. And also he's been able to defend his belt against a good fighter in Lucien Boutet, who was an ex-world champion.
James Degale would have beaten Boutet. I mean, the only thing I would say about
let me remind you, MJ, that James Degale asked for Boutet, and it was a very difficult fight. And so the fight went 12 rounds. The only man to stop Boutet from Britain was Carl Froch, and it was a fantastic fight.
The Cobra.
But the two fighters took Lucien Boutet to 12 rounds. The fight, even James Degale admitted that James Degale said he was going to beat and retire Butte in the 6th round. The fight went to 12 round, and Badou Jack kept his mouth shut, boxed a good fight, and won the fight. And I think he'll be a lot closer than you think, but my money still leans towards Badou Jack.
The only thing I'll say about Badou Jack, he's been to the Olympics twice, got knocked out in the first round. He represented both Sweden as well as his country of birth, his African country of birth. And both times, he didn't get anywhere close. So, fair enough. I mean, the amateur act is completely different from the professionals. He's done well. He keeps on shocking people. They underestimate Badou Jack. Andrew Durrell, who was a former sparring partner of Badou Jack, and that's actually why Mayweather signed him when he sparred so well against Andrew Durrell. Badou Jack, he surprised. He shocked everyone when he won, but I think it's one step too far. His luck will run out against James Degale.
And you know what, to add to that, Degale for me is just like the superior technical boxer. Now I say that because Degale has got that ability to change stance from orthodox to southpaw, and I just think he's a lot more diverse than Badou Jack, who boxes behind the jab but doesn't have the movement of Degale.
I think, in my opinion, James Degale moves a bit too much and he will tire towards the latter rounds. And let's not forget that Badou Jack is also coached by Mustafa Mohamed, who's a very, very good coach. And they will be studying Degale very well. Degale's last fight was against Medina, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't particularly, enthralling. And I expect Badou Jack again to shock the world again and to beat James Degale. Everybody expects Degale to put a good performance, but I've seen that James Degale has the ability to tire quite quickly towards the latter rounds because of his non-stop movement, and he relies on his movement a lot to find the angles, to find the shots that he needs. And Badou Jack will be equally prepared for that.
Thank you for that, guys. It's very interesting. There is other pressing boxing news. London boy and light heavyweight Joshua Buatsi will take the bronze medal at the Rio Olympics this summer after losing to, and I'm sure I'm going to get the pronunciation of this name wrong, but I think you know who I'm talking about, Adilbek Niyazimbetov, the Kazakh who took the fight by unanimous decision. Buatsi lit up the early stages of the tournament with stoppages of both Kennedy Katende and Elshad Rasulov, but this Kazakh was one hurdle too great in the end. Has anyone been keeping track of what's been happening at the Olympics and the boxing event?
Joshua Buatsi, for me, that's potentially the next superstar in the making.
You see that?
There's a lot of parallels that run with Anthony Joshua, because they both boxed at Finchley, ABC. Both of them are heavyweights, and also as well, both of them had a great amateur career and have performed well in the Olympics. So for me, Joshua Buatsi has got a bright future. Even though he's taken the bronze, he's still going to have that platform now to kick on.
I think with Olympic boxing, it's all changed. Olympic boxing has changed. You've got professionals in there now with amateurs. It's not the same Olympic boxing it was in the past. It is more difficult for a world-class amateur to go in there now and actually win it because you're up against professionals. There are no more head guards. There's no more computer scoring. It's now to the judges. It's pretty much, there's very little difference now between professional boxing and amateur boxing based on the Olympics. For the first time in Rio, this has all been changed. So I don't think it would be a bit unfair to actually judge Joshua based upon how he's actually performed. I saw his first round bout. He looked quite good, but it's a completely different ball game when you actually get signed and you go, I think we just need to watch this space.
Yeah, I tend to agree with MJ. Boxing has changed. I mean, look at what happened to Michael Conlan, and for me, he won that match, and then they gave it to the other guy. I mean, I couldn't understand it, although he was swearing and cussing at the referees.
Yeah,
but
the Russian guy.
I could understand his frustration. He battered the guy for his opponent won. So
yeah, actually, on the old format, to actually agree with you, Kelechi, on the old format, he would have actually won that.
Interesting. Now, gentlemen, thank you. We have had a lot to talk about this evening, but I'm afraid that's our time up for another week. I do thank you all. I would like to thank the panel for sharing their views this evening. Frankie B, Pascal, Kelechi and MJ, it's been fantastic having you on the show tonight. Thank you, gents.
Thank you very much. It's an honor.
Pleasure.
Thank you. And
Merci.
we hope all of our listeners have enjoyed the show. And we wish all of our listeners a good week until our next show. Take care. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at peptalk_UK.